After our great value drift week, there was some stuff I really needed to address with the car. My shocks were blown out, the stock e-brake wasn't cutting it anymore and just could not lock up the rear, and a myriad of other things. These are things that I felt were really holding me back and not letting me get the most out of my car. Hi, I'm Connor. This is my Turbo E46 drift car. Let's fix some of those issues. So the big things I'm trying to accomplish right now are dialing more grip in and switching from the stock handbrake with an extension handle to an actual hydro handbrake. For the grip aspect, I'm switching to a much nicer set of coilovers, and I'm also going from a 235/17 to a 265/18. For my handbrake, I'm switching from my stock 325 knuckles and axles to 330 knuckles and axles and running a dual caliper adapter. I also have a front bumper that I'm going to put on the car, although I'm going to save the whole making the car pretty thing for a later day. Alright, so I've got these new wheels on here test fitted. Work mostly okay, but it's hitting the fender liner a little bit up here. It was rolled. Let me see if I can get a good thing here. It was rolled by a previous owner, but it still sticks out a little bit, so I'm gonna take an angle grinder to this at some point, cut it along here, and then maybe pull it out just a little bit more. See if I can get it to stop rubbing there. It's a little bit worse on the other side just because the lip sticks out a bit further on the other side. I've also, I didn't record it, but I've got the new suspension on here. I got these Fortune 510s from the Fortunato Black Friday sale. Driven one event on them so far. Mostly like them, but the springs that they came with don't afford me a lot of grip. So I've got new springs that I'm going to swap on there whenever I'm replacing this knuckle and rear trailing arm with the 330 trailing arm. So right now, this is what I'm working with. I need to cut out the carpet here. I think if I undo this and peel it back, I can probably cut it along there, or maybe just fully remove it and the foam here, so I can attach the mount here for the e-brake that's going to go in here, or the handbrake. It won't be able to come straight sideways because it'll hit the seat, so it's going to be kind of cockeyed in here and go this way. And then I've got to find a good way to mount it where, this is in reverse right now. I need to mount it so it's not going to hit the shifter, and I can still go put it in reverse without hitting the e-brake, but I also need to make sure that it doesn't hit my wheel. So I think I've got a situation figured out that'll help. And then I will be removing this and running the lines for it through one of these, if I'm able to properly, to get back to the dual calipers on the rear. So I've got the carpet ripped out, removed this bracket, took off the e-brake handle. It's sitting right over there now. This is probably about how it's going to sit. Cockeyed, I could maybe do a little more, but it's pretty close to the seat. I could just fit my finger in between the two. This is where the shifter is in reverse. So this is about as far left as it'll go, and it's still not making contact. Even if I push it real hard, it doesn't hit. And of course, it's going to go into all the other gears too without any issues. Where it's sitting now, the pull feels pretty good. It's not really secured down right now, but it's going to pull this way. It's not going to, hit the wheel or anything. I still need to figure out, if I want to bolt this down or, I don't know, weld around it, maybe do some rosette welds in these spots. Either way will probably be fine. Leaning a bit towards welding, this is some thin sheet metal here. Then I got to yank this out and get the lines ran through. So I've decided that I am going to weld this into the car. But before I do that, I'm going to get this mounted up, the handbrake. Just going to go ahead and drill the holes. Obviously that's going to be bolted on, so I can still easily remove that, but I want to get it mounted onto this plate first before I get it in the car, so that, I'm not too worried about potentially not being able to get it back out, or if I weld this in a spot and then come to find out I can't actually get the hardware behind it. So just getting this done just so I can make sure that this isn't going to be in an area where I can't easily remove it if need be. So I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes and get this handbrake mounted and get it in the car probably tomorrow. Got the handbrake all finished up. Everything's bolted down tight. Obviously, except for this one, make this one too tight and it just doesn't really want to move. Let me see if I can set this on here to kind of hold it down. It's got a nice feeling action on it. I'm going to see if I can get this welded in the car tomorrow. Alright, so I've got this thing sitting about how I want it to sit. I'm going to go ahead and mark, where, so I can, sand off and clean these areas, get it ready for welding, and go ahead and get that welded up. Alright, I think I've got this sanded down and cleaned up well enough. Can take this and plop it over here. Line it up the way I want it. I feel like that's enough exposed metal to get a clean weld around there. So I'm gonna go ahead and bust out the welder and start getting this welded up. Alright, I've got this tacked in place. Still gives me room to get into reverse without hitting the e-brake. Can pull the e-brake without hitting the wheel. Can modulate the wheel without hitting the e-brake. Does look close, but there is a bit of space. And eventually this wheel is going to be a bit further closer to me, so be even less of an issue. I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this welded up and see how it feels. Alright, I've got this welded up. They're not pretty, but they will hold. It's pretty solid, can't move it. So, should hold. Had to go over a couple areas because it kept blowing through the chassis, but yeah. Might go through and grind it down a little bit, throw some paint over it. But they say the grinder and paint make me the welder I ain't. Also need to find a way to properly secure this down so it's not flopping around. I might see if I can put the bracket that was right here back, at least have it attached there, or maybe I can fab up something. I've got some spare mild steel inside. I could weld something up, but we'll figure that out. Alright, I've got it painted under here so it won't rust. For right now, I'm just going to leave this like this. I'm going to put the bracket back at some point, but I lost the nut that secures it down right here. So I am going to go to the store at some point and get another one. However, for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and get the knuckles done and swapped on and start making the brake lines. So I've picked up 2 knuckles and an axle from the junkyard. I'm going to be replacing the brake rotors, brake pads. I've got 4 brand new calipers I'm going to be putting on these. Also going to pop out this bushing and replace it with a monoball offset toe bushing from Drift Tech. It'll match the Drift Tech brackets that I currently have on the car. But yeah, just gonna get these cleaned up and new parts installed.
So my driver's side 330 axle just came in. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the splines on it and get it installed in here. Not going to put the nut on it until I go to put it in the car, just so I can more easily utilize the diff and whatnot to make sure that it's not spinning while I'm trying to tighten it down. And then probably go ahead and get these installed into the car tomorrow. The car jacked up and on jack stands. Let's go ahead and get these wheels off. Yes, I know it's a chrome socket. No, I don't care. Axle is removed. Alright, I got both knuckles out. I've got the brackets installed on the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these into the car. So I have hit a snag. Should have probably checked this before, but the stock brake lines can't exactly fit in here, so it's hitting the knuckle. And even if I, try to go through this hole here and come up through here and so on, I just can't get it to get there. BMW in their infinite wisdom went with a really long end on this. So what I am going to do instead, because I cannot seem to find a way to get, an M10, banjo fitting or whatever fitting that'll fit in here to the M10 that's on the car. At least not in a quick and easy way that I can get done very soon. So the plan is I've got an M10 to 3/8/24 fitting, like normal brake fitting, to go from here, and then I am going to cut this off and reflare this. I'm going to put a 3/8/24 fitting on here and then put an inverted flare at the end of this and just go from that to the line to the M10 banjo bolt. It's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. And the reason for this is I don't want to put this added caliper. I feel like the handbrake is going to be generating much more force than the foot brake. And I don't want, this adapter that's, really only attached to bolts that aren't super meant to be load bearing to be dealing with that much force. So I want to put this on foot brake and then have the handbrake on the original mounting solution on the knuckle. That seems like the safest way to go about doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and reflare those lines, and then tomorrow the new lines should come in. I can finish getting these installed and shouldn't be an issue. Got the old fitting off here, got this new one slipped over. Gonna flare this end, then do the same on the other side. So trying to do the brake flares last night didn't go too well. I screwed up 4 flares in a row, and then on the 4th one broke the die for it. So I've got a new one coming in, a nicer Eastwood unit that'll it's made to be doing flares on the car, so it won't screw up any. I'm gonna leave this amount left here just because I don't want to go too much further down. I also made another realization that I can't use any of the stock BMW lines that I ordered because all of them are flared bubble flare on this end here. And I only have tools to do double flares or inverted flares. So the ones I'm cutting off over there are going to be going to these, which can't use stock lines, and then the lines I'm making would be going to these, which can't use stock lines because inverted flares. So I've ordered these calipers came with banjo bolts, so I have lines coming in that are banjo bolt to 3/8/24, and I'm going to make all of the lines just banjo bolts for all of the calipers and reflare what's needed. But gotta wait on the tool to come in, and then I don't want to put the knuckles on before I get all the brake stuff done, just because it would be a lot more annoying to reflare these and do whatever I need to do with this in the car. So hoping to get all of this stuff in the mail soon, get these knuckles on, and then get the car finished up, hopefully before next weekend, but we'll see.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on doing this brake line. I've got my Eastwood tool in and its components. Went ahead and did the other side just because it's about to rain and wanted to beat the rain. Did the other side phenomenally. Highly recommend getting one of these if you're doing brake lines on the car. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get finished up here on brakes. So the plan for the brake lines is to, obviously come out of here, probably gonna put it over the side and then come up under here, follow it this way, put a T probably around right here, and then each line will run through these individually to get back to the dual calipers. We've got the first one done, just goes in right there and then comes down to the block right here. And I have this end's gonna go straight back down this tube, and then this will come out and go this way. Alright, so I got the brake line going from there all the way to this T back here, then over the cage, up around, and then through right there. Same thing goes for right there. Went up and around like that just so I could, still put wheels back here and not worry about them rubbing up against the brake lines. Yeah. Alright, we have got the knuckles fully installed. The brakes are bled, just got the studs finished up there. Same here on this other side, got new springs in there. The only thing left to do really is put the wheels back on, and probably gonna bleed the front brakes just because I left these ones disconnected so long that it emptied out the master cylinder. But other than that, it's coming along pretty good. Almost done. We're almost finished up here. Last thing we really got to do is get this bumper on. Now the mounting points over here are a little messed up. This one's missing entirely. Other side's also not in great shape. So I've got these ones I'm gonna pop on there, get this bumper on, and then we'll basically be done. All right, we've got the bumper installed. Doesn't look perfect, but I have a bumper. Might get a little peg to put here and on the other side just to kind of help hold it on. I don't know how much I trust this to stay in place, especially if I hit anything for whatever reason. But yeah, it is a bumper, and eventually I'll get everything painted to match. Went ahead and added those other pegs and rubber bands on here just to keep the bumper on. Tried to get it onto the trailer the other day and kind of just fell off while I was on the ramps. But it seems pretty solid now. I can kind of move it around and, doesn't want to fall off or anything. Moves a little bit, but it's also only secured at really 2 points. But not too shabby. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did before. That's gonna do it for this video. Just about done with this. Just probably gonna do an alignment, a couple other small things, get it down and ready. I've got in a few weeks here, 3-day event coming up, so try to get plenty of footage from that and hopefully make another neat video like the Drift Week video. But if you've stayed it this far, thank you for watching. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. Leave me a comment if there's anything you want to see me do, or anything you want to see switched up or changed up. And I'll see y'all in the next one.